Hello, good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Am I audible? Kindly someone comment so that I can proceed. Comments are. Okay, so I think let us begin. So before I invite Aditi to share her insights with you, I think let's have a look at the ethics paper that was asked by UPSC in 2024 mains, because it is important that we, when we look ahead and prepare for this year's paper, that we should understand what kind of questions UPSC asked in the previous year and what we can learn from that paper so that we can align our own preparation accordingly. So let us try to have some insight from the previous year paper of the ethics in 2024. And one thing that we can see is that this year UPSC increased the complexity of the questions by increasing the number of statements that usually it used to ask questions, and that is why there were layers of questions, layers of things that you need to address when you are writing an answer. This question that basically speaks about application of AI as a dependable source of input for administrative rational decision making is a debatable issue. So this question is basically asking you that when we apply AI in the administrative rational decision making, what are the ethical issues that may arise? Of course, this question is asking about the ethical dimensions of AI. That is one thing. Another important layer that you can also address is that how and to what extent AI can be used for rational decision making, because rationality in decision making requires facts, and what kind of facts we can have and to what extent AI can help you. Recently Prime Minister also said in Prime Minister Prime Minister, someone has commented something. So, Prime Minister recently also said in a summit on AI that when we give prompt to AI to generate an image using right hand, left hand, then it will generate the image someone is writing from the right hand, because that is the kind of data that has been fed into the system. The point being that rational decision making may not be rational if the data that we are feeding is not fair, is not right. So data integrity also become important. So when we are addressing this question, we need not just speak about the ethical challenges of AI per se, but also to what extent it can capture the rational decision making element when it comes to decision making, and that includes not what is the effectiveness of AI in capturing emotions also, because rationality always focuses on facts, cost benefit analysis, to what extent it can capture emotions also. In your UPSC only, I think last year UPSC asked an essay that visionary decision making happens at the intersection of logic and intuition. Logic is all about rational decision making and intuition. So the point is that administrative rational decision making has its own limitation. So this question is not just about AI, but also about the limitation of administrative rational decision making, and that is the ethical perspective that you can draw when you are trying to write answer to this question. So that's why I'm telling you that because the nature of question that is being asked, there are multiple layers that we need to look at when we are answering the question. I think it will load in some time. Yeah. Okay. Another important thing that we need to understand is that when we are writing answers in ethics, it is not just about dumping examples. Let us try to look at this question. The concept of just and unjust is contextual. What was just a year back may turn out to be unjust in today's context. So, and the next part is changing context should be constantly under scrutiny to prevent miscarriage of justice. So when you are answering this question, it is not just about dumping lot of examples that how what was just earlier have now become unjust, and vice versa. Now you may be having lots of examples. You speak about sati, you speak about LGBT community relationships, you speak about Sabrimala traditions, triple talaq, so basically you can have so many examples that how the just and unjust is changing as per context. But this question is not just about dumping examples, because if you just dump examples you will not get marks. The question is that how changing context should be constantly under scrutiny. We need to decipher this changing context here. Now, changing context, what does it mean? Changing context basically means that how the context is changing when it comes to concept of justice. How earlier the concept of justice was limited to retributory aspect of justice, that now we are moving more towards a rehabilitative aspect of justice. Similarly, we can see how concept of human right is changing. Of course, 200 years back, 300 years back, we did not have the concept of human rights the way we have today. Similarly, the right to privacy we are having now. Earlier, the internet penetration was not there, technology was also not that much penetrating, and that is why the concept of privacy have become more important in today's context. The point is that is the changing context and the dimensions you need to explore here, so that you can identify that it is not just about dumping the examples of changing just and unjust, but also the changing context. You can also speak about how our own orientation with respect to the Indian Penal Code, and now we are transitioning towards Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. That has also changed. How our perspective from penalty to more comprehensive sense of justice has changed, and it happens only when basically when you prepare arguments also, and not just dump examples. Examples are only means to an end. Examples are means to substantiate or justify your argument, and that is why argument should be the primary thing, followed by example. Alone examples will not help you much in terms of fetching marks. Then another pattern that we can see from the question is that UPSC you will be occupying very significant positions in government of India, and that thereby they expect you to find solutions. And if we look at the question paper, many questions were asked on the theme of solutions and measures. And if you can see just this particular question, you see the last line that is being asked, and suggest suitable measures to increase their efficiency. Here also, in the context of code of conduct and code of ethics, they have asked you to suggest a suitable model of code of ethics. So in both the cases, suggestions have been asked. Similarly, in the question of environment also, they have asked you for suggestions and solutions. How do you put an end to this, basically the environmental damages that are being done in today's context? The point being that we need to think like ethical leaders, because you will be occupying significant leadership positions when you clear this examination. And that is why when you prepare for this particular examination, then you must have solutions, and that too multi-dimensional solution, and not just solutions from the policy perspective or from the legal perspective, but that also speak about ethical perspective, societal perspective, so that you can write a multi-dimensional solution or measures when you are speaking with respect to these type of question. So the point is, having this attitude of finding solution is also important, and you must prepare them beforehand when you appear in the examination. That will help you great deal. Another important thing is that we need to keep an eye on contemporary themes. You look at the question that how Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita is basically the shift from a doctrine of punishment, that was IPC, Indian Penal Code, that was there. So that was in news, and the question is expected on this line. Similarly, speak about Mission Karma Yogi. The point being that we need to Yes, so we need to basically keep an eye on the contemporary themes so that we can prepare them beforehand, because we cannot just generate points then and there. That's only 7 minutes to answer a 10-marker question, and that is too little time to basically think. So you must prepare yourself beforehand. You must identify these themes, and that is how it will help you when you appear in the actual examination. And one of the most important thing in ethics paper is having conceptual clarity. Whenever you look at the question paper, whenever you look at the question, that is how this particular paper is different than the other 3 GS paper, because there you can see the questions are straight away asked. You already have a topic that is there, and then the questions are asked. the questions on RTI, citizen charter, social audit. But here the questions are more abstract in nature. You need to link it to the syllabus topic, and for that you must have conceptual clarity. Here, if you see, in a law a man is guilty when he violates the right of others. In ethics, he is guilty if he only thinks of doing so. That is, this question is basically asking you one of the most important doctrine of Immanuel Kant, that you follow the moral law for the respect of moral law, not because of the consequence of following or not following the moral law. The point being that here intentions also matters a lot. Similarly, if you look at this question, so whenever you look at the question, you must map it to the syllabus point of view, whatever you have read, and for that you require absolute conceptual clarity. Similarly, ethics is knowing the difference between what you have the right to do and what is the right to do. So basically, this right is the legal right that you are having, or the entitlement that you are having. This is the righteous perspective. Another right is basically the righteous perspective. So the question is asking you that you may be having all the right. Maybe you are going on the road and you are looking at the road accident, and you have all the right perhaps to just pass by, not help that person, but it may not be the right thing to do. The point being that there are so many things that lies at the interface of law and ethics, that lie at the interface of entitlement and the righteousness. So that is what we need to do. As a speaker, you may have all the right with respect to money bill and everything, but it may not be the right thing to do. The point is that you must have conceptual clarity, law, ethics, just, unjust, so that you can generate n number of dimension when you are writing the paper. This question, a man is that is, I think 2 or 3 years back, UPSC have asked this question. A man is but a product of his thoughts. What he thinks he becomes. Now this particular code based question, if you can just link it to the attitude, the cognitive component of attitude is the structure of attitude you are reading, that how your belief system actually plays great role in formation of your attitude. And then you can then link not just to the attitude component of the syllabus, but also to the virtue ethics also, because your attitude determines your behavior, and whatever you are doing consistently becomes your virtues. And that is what all the virtue thinkers are saying, that virtues are a result of habitual action. And this is the habit. A man is but a product of his thoughts, because thought determines your attitude determines your behavior. What he thinks he becomes when he does that consistently. So that that's the character that will be coming out from the person. So that is how you need to map. Learn everything that is good from others, but bring it in your own way to absorb it, and do not become others. Now, if you look at this question also, last year quotation based question, you can always map it to the aptitude. I may learn, for example, discipline from Virat Kohli, but I may not have the aptitude to become a cricketer. I may learn so many things, hard work from, let's say, Sachin Tendulkar, but again, I may not have the aptitude to become cricketer. So we may learn so many things from others, or we need to be mindful of aptitude. Similarly, we can also speak about role of role models here, role of leaders here, administrators here, in shaping our value system, in shaping our attitude in this particular question. The point being, whenever you look at the quotation based questions, whenever you look at the questions in this particular paper, you need to map it to the syllabus. This, I think, is a first or second question that UPSC asked, and very lengthy question, I would say, as this encompasses several key dimensions that are crucial in guiding individuals and organizations towards morally responsible behavior. Now, explain the key dimensions of ethics that influence human actions, and how these dimensions shape ethical decision making in professional context. Very lengthy question, I would say, and many students could not do justice to this particular question, because when they look at this dimensions of ethics, they could not map it to the syllabus. When you talk about dimensions of ethics, you talk about normative dimensions of ethics, you talk about descriptive dimensions of ethics, and you talk about applied ethics also. So when you speak about normative dimensions, so what virtue ethics thinkers are telling you, they are telling you that you must be mindful of your conduct. Whatever you are doing habitually becomes your character, and that is how these dimensions shape your ethical decision making. That's how they influence your human action. So virtue ethics thinker is telling me that I must be virtuous in my thinking, and that's how they influence human action. Deontologist Kant is telling me that I should do the right thing because it is the right thing to do, as if it is my duty, categorical imperative, not because of the consequences. It is also testing my intentions here, the same thing. The point is, when you map it to the ethics syllabus, answering questions become easy, because then you can break it down. Similarly, when they are asking you how the dimensions shape ethical decision making in the professional context. So here you can speak about various applied ethics matter like media ethics, how in the profession of media one can take decision, business ethics, how corporate governance ethics can tell you how to take decision, administrative ethics. There also you can speak about a lot of ethical terms that helps you, basically dimensions that help you in decision making. So the point is, if you just look at the question, such a bulky question, such a complex question, but if we can map it to the syllabus of ethics, and we know that this is the content that we have read under that particular topic, we are having the concept of clarity to interlinkages, then answer writing becomes a bit easy, but it requires tremendous answer writing practice to basically incorporate all that in your answer in those 7 minutes when you write that in mains. Now I think let me invite Aditi here and let's hear from her that how she tackled the mains paper, this sort of ethics paper that came in this examination, and she had scored 125 marks in ethics this year. So I think it is better that we hear from her, and after that, after she explained all these things, and we can have a Q&A session also. Therefore, just a minute. In that Q&A session, we will be addressing your individual queries also. So Aditi, please. So I think, first of all, congratulations again.
Thank you, sir.
And is she audible? Is she audible? Can you just briefly tell us that? Is she audible?
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Okay, you are audible. So I think let me just ask few questions that they have submitted already. That how preparation of ethics is different than other 3 GS paper. What sort of different tactics you require when you actually approach ethics paper? You have scored great marks in ethics, that is 125. So please elaborate on that.
Sir, firstly, I feel that ethics has a lot of repeated themes, and those themes have deeper meaning to them. So understanding the heart of that particular theme with the right arguments, that is, for me, it was the crux of my ethics preparation. So like how in your class we divided themes topic wise in the ethics paper, starting with determinant of ethics, then impact of ethic, public life, private life, society, etc. So I really focused on understanding why ethics is important, or what is the crux of that topic, and then I also jotted down examples for each theme. So I had it fixed in my head that if the question is somewhere related to this theme, this is the argument I'll write, this is the example I write, and that template with repeated revision and practice sort of became fixed in the head. And I think with GS, firstly, it's a more dynamic paper than ethics. And secondly, maybe the conceptual clarity that is required in GS is not as deep as ethics, because there are a lot of questions where you have to enumerate the points straight away. So it's about knowing or not knowing that particular theme. But ethics is very different from that. You have to really understand the concepts.
Because the questions are very abstract also. Directly they ask very few questions only. Okay, another important query that often comes is that how to handle quotation based questions.
Sir, I think that there are 3 quotation based questions, and they are each question is related to a particular theme by the end of it. So first step is to identify what theme this question is related to, like how even you discuss some quotations right now, and it was related to the dilemma between teleological and deontological aspects. So if you can identify that in the spot, then that's the best thing, because then you can open the dimensions and write the answer. Apart from that, there's another kind of quotation based questions where it's more abstract, and it might be difficult to open themes based on the syllabus. So then there you can do level analysis, like how you discussed in class, that you open this particular code based on personal, family, societal level, and then give examples. So that was the second approach. And one more thing is that the quotation can seem straightforward, but there is always, not always, but there are many cases where there's a flip side also to the quotation. So it's important to not get lost thinking that it's a very straightforward question, and brainstorm very effectively.
That's very important, because usually when we look at the quotation based questions, at times we may just take it as a gospel truth, as if there cannot be any criticism to that. But usually when these quotation based questions are asked, they are quotations of thinkers, and thinkers, just like any human being, can have limitations in their thinking. So it is not too, I would say, wrong that we may point out the flaws also that might be there in the application, and just to show the other side of the other side of the coin. So that is one very important advice that I think that she has given. Time management is another important problem areas for ethics, Aditi. Many students, they struggle with time management. They at times overemphasize on case study, and so how did you manage time? Because many parents, they are not able to complete the paper also. They leave so many 50-60 marks also at times. So what will be your advice for time management to the aspirants?
I would say that, my funda was clear. Sir also focused on this multiple times, that it is the section A that will fetch you marks. And case study, more or less, is very written on similar lines by people, because there are fixed templates. So I did one thing, that in the start, when we get the reading time, I made sure that I read 2 case studies. And for the first 2 case studies, I gave only 10 minutes, because I've already done the reading, I've thought what arguments I'll give. So it was possible to do that in 10 minutes. And I gave myself only 1 hour 25 minutes for case studies. So by the time it got to 1 hour 10 minutes, I already started feeling the pressure that I have to wind up. And after 125, it was section A from the first question onwards. And I did the code-based questions in the end, because firstly, you can get the quote also wrong. So I felt that in other questions, I should write more points. And then in the end, in the code-based questions, the code that I will identify, the theme in the code where I identify it first, I will attempt that, write it properly. And there were, in both my attempts, there was one quote always which I could not get. So,
and one important learning for all of you here is that hi Amit, one important learning for all of you is that, as she's also saying, she has scored 125 marks, and despite that, she's saying that one question she could not attempt that well. I'm telling you, it happens with everyone. In fact, the toppers also it happens. So you did not write everything in that great detail. And I would say, if you are able to write a very good answer to 170 or 180 marks of the question and complete the rest of the paper, then it is just fine. Okay. So 1 or 2 questions here and there will not make that drastic impact, provided you have done other questions very, very well. And I think that is a learning that we can learn from Aditi also. Okay, Aditi, so how did you tackle case studies? Did you have any specific framework, or can you speak on that also?
So case studies also, there are I think set pattern to case studies. So we identified themes in the class. The templates that you gave for all the case studies, I noted them down very carefully with running notes in the class. So that was my primary source, and I feel that a lot of points are repeated in case studies. The arguments that we give on why we want to choose a particular option. So the points that you gave for that why was very helpful, and I made sure that I dropped as many keywords as possible in my case studies. And this was the main case study approach. And apart from that, I also brainstormed on the last 7 years of case studies. So I think that sort of helped me generate as many arguments in the exam.
One thing that we can learn from her also, that why aspect is very important, because when you write case studies in ethics, I don't think that any student will rather I will be taking this unethical option. So most of the students will be taking ethical options only. So how will the examiner differentiate in terms of giving marks? So he will differentiate on the basis of why only. Okay, so why aspect is very important. So whenever you are writing your answer, whenever you are writing your case study, please do include why aspect, that why exactly you are taking that particular step, and that will fetch you great deal. When you also read your own case study, you will be more convinced, as compared to when you don't write the why aspect when you are writing the case study. So writing why of course of action is very important as you are writing the course of action itself. So that is very important, and prepare that why beforehand, because it helps you writing all those important keywords in those 40 minutes that you are writing in the case study. I think
Yeah.
that's what you also followed. Note making for ethics, I think we can speak on that. So what was your strategy like, that how did you make notes for ethics? Did you also make short notes also? If yes, then after how many revisions you made them? So that is also
Okay.
important.
So in my first attempt before prelims, I had made some notes for ethics, which were completely redundant after I did your course, because I think in the first round of my note making, I made notes without actually understanding the concepts, and I was trying to learn them. And I think that approach is completely useless in ethics if you can't connect with your notes. So second round of note making was when I was doing your ethics enrichment program. I made running notes with the class, and that formed my basic notes for the entire ethics revision. I kept revising them only again and again. And apart from that, I also made an online document where I made a table and I wrote each keyword of the syllabus and different values and different themes, also how family plays a role, all that. And in front of each keyword, I had written the main arguments, and in the other column I wrote all the examples that I will use. So that is something I revised between the GS3 and GS4
GS4
paper, because it was a very concise table and gave the crux of the entire
I think one thing that we can
syllabus.
also learn from her approach is that she prepared the notes as if she is writing her answers. That is argument and example, not just definition and example. Because usually when we prepare for ethics, we take shortcuts and we only prepare definitions and example. As I discussed earlier, that approach will not fetch you great marks in ethics. That may fetch you average marks, but not great marks. You must know arguments, because you need to convince the examiner about what you are writing. So that's how she prepared the notes herself, and I think that helps you a great deal when you are writing ethics paper in the examination hall, because you already have ready-made arguments and example, and that's how you. So that's very brilliant. Another, I think, case studies we have discussed, quotation-based questions we have discussed. I think we'll come to Q&A. Just give us some time, and let me just briefly go over the features of the program. Okay, I think I will invite you in 5 minutes. Just 5 to 6 minutes. So someone was asking that what was the result of the module last year. So this was the result. We from the ethics module only I'm speaking. We had 11 students in the top 100 last year, including rank 7, 16, 21, 24, 41, 46. As you can see, 11 students, and as you can see from the mark sheet of Madhav also, ethics played great role. He was able to improve his ethics marks from 102 to 126. That is a jump of around 24 marks. If you speak about mains, 20 and 30 marks jump is a huge jump actually. And he was already an IPS officer. From there to get to rank 16, you required that kind of jump. Similarly, last year also, Al Srivastav, rank 1, he was also IPS officer. So he had around 104 marks in ethics paper, and that improved to 143. So that's how important this particular paper is, and not just Madhav, so many other students also get, I think Aditi herself have got 125 in ethics, then rank 58 have got 124, Chidit Aditya Sharma, and the people who have not even qualified, they also have got great marks. I think I should not take the name of the student. He had got 138 marks in the ethics, but I am very sure this year he will get top rank. So I think as far as I have seen in terms of mark sheet, those are the second highest marks that I have seen. I may be wrong because I have not seen all the mark sheet that is there. So as of now, these are the second highest marks that I have seen in the ethics paper. Then 136 marks I have seen, 131 also students have got. Sachin have got, I think, 680 rank, and he has got 131 marks, and his marks improved by 25. So that is this paper. This paper provides a jump of 20 to 30 marks. And here I want you to read this with, this is very important. Okay, so he scored 97 earlier in ethics, and this year he has scored 128. That is an improvement of 31 marks. And you see the contribution it has made to the final list. No, he has got rank 449. It's because ethics played massive role in terms of overall mark sheet, overall marks. 128 marks, huge marks. As another important thing that we can learn from his message is, see, just read this particular thing. Earlier he's saying that he used to always leave questions worth 50 marks at least, but now he was able to finish the paper because of the frameworks and the templates. And please read this. I was able to, you know successfully complete all sub 4 parts in the 6 minutes. I only had 6 minutes left when I had the attempt entire case study, and after that I was able to complete that in 6 minutes. He was able to complete the case study, and that's what Ati was also saying, because when you already know that that is the theme of the case study when you are reading it, and that is the kind of questions that are being asked, that's the kind of arguments that you have to write, then it becomes easy. I would not say easy in that fashion. That is not that easy, because you need to remember, you need to apply, you need to practice it that much that it comes out in those 7 minutes only, in the 14 minutes only when you are writing case study. But somehow it becomes more manageable when you prepare all those things beforehand. And that's why I found this message very beautiful, because earlier he was leaving 50 marks, now he was able to complete the paper, and 6 minutes he was able to complete the case study also. And you see the marks, 97 to 128. Huge impact that was there. And if you look at the mark sheet also, the great role is played by ethics, that is 128 marks. And when we look at these marks, it is not that ये कोई वरदान है और एकदम से कुछ प्रसाद खा लिया और हो गया. I am huge fan of this particular quotation, that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is therefore not an act but an habit. All these students who have scored great marks in ethics, who have got top ranks, they were not lucky on that particular day only. That we cannot just say that एक दिन में अच्छा कर लिया, एक दिन में पेपर उनके जोन से आ गया, एक दिन बस अच्छा लिख लिया. एक दिन लिखने से रैंक बहुत मुश्किल से आती है, नहीं आती है. ठीक है, इट हैज टू बी कंसिस्टेंट प्रैक्टिस. वर्चुअल एथिक्स यही तो सिखाती है हमें कि एक्सीलेंस इज रिजल्ट ऑफ हैबिचुअल एक्शन. व्हाट यू डू रिपीटेडली बिकम्स योर कैरेक्टर. दैट्स व्हाट वी डिस्कस्ड जस्ट बिफोर. दैट शुड बी योर लेवल ऑफ प्रिपरेशन. है ना, आज आप मेहनत करें तो इतनी करें कि उस तरह का 6 मिनट में आप स्टडी कर पाएं, फॉर एग्जांपल, जैसा हमने देखा, क्योंकि उतना प्रैक्टिस वो कर चुके थे. और ये मैं केवल बोलने के लिए नहीं बोल रहा हूं. आई थिंक वी कैन look at evidence is there for everyone to see. This is ethics animation program 2024 mini test number 6. Just look at this question. Impact of digital technology as a reliable source of input for rational decision making is debatable issue. Just replace digital technology with AI and you will have this year's question. Students already wrote this question in their mini test. Look at this particular question in mini test 1. The growing influence of technology raises ethical concerns about privacy, data security, and algorithm bias. Similar concerns you have to write here also when you are writing artificial intelligence. Answer. So they have practiced these questions beforehand. That's how it enabled them to fetch that great marks in the final paper. You look at this dimensions wala question, the first question. As I told you, when you have this clarity that this is how you need to bifurcate this particular question, the key dimensions of ethics, how normative dimension shapes your ethical conduct, your human actions, and how descriptive ethics shapes your human action. So that is what dimensions of ethics is there. All the notes are there, how it helps you providing moral map, providing resolving moral issues and everything. So that is how, when you prepare all these things beforehand, that's how it helps you in terms of final marks also. Similarly, look at this particular question that was asked by UPSC. Just read the last line. What are the ethical considerations of the powerful nations in today's international arena to stop continuation of ongoing conflict? And you look at this question. How can ethical considerations help resolve such tensions? Similar questions we have was given to them in mini test 4. All these are based on the PYQs, because UPSC's they keep on repeating these important themes, and you need to also practice that. So this is what you need to prepare all these things beforehand. That is I would say one of the important step towards scoring great marks. Look at this question, this year's question. I would say a bit difficult question if you are solving it for the first time in the examination hall. Mindless addiction to form, ignoring the substance of the matter, results in rendering of injustice. and you look at this question in the mini test number 3. Wisdom lies in knowing what to reckon with and what to overlook. Similar question, that what is important, form and substance. Similar question, wisdom lies in knowing what to reckon with and what to overlook. An officer be engrossed with the periphery, ignoring the core issue. Periphery, similar thing, form, and the score of the issue is substance of the matter. So you need to prepare all these things beforehand so that you don't find them difficult when you are actually writing your answers. And that is how this preparation helps you. नेट प्रैक्टिस इतनी अच्छी कर लो कि जब मैथ्स देखें तो इंस्टिंक्ट के हिसाब से आप बैटिंग करें और अपने क्वेश्चंस को सॉल्व करें. And that is how it helps you. And I think one question came in the essay also. This mini test number 3, nearly all men can withstand adversity. Want to test man's character, give him power. Similar question was asked by UPSC in the essay paper as well. Nearly all men can stand adversity, but to test the character, give him power. So when you prepare ethics well, it helps you in essay as well, because there are a lot of overlapping theme. One question that I just discussed, that essay topic only, that visionary decision making happens at the intersection of logic and intuition. That basically the theme in ethics also, when you speak about objectivity and the limitation of objectivity, the similar things are there. So it helps a great deal if you prepare ethics well. Now another question on global warming that we have asked. The question was, how do you put an end to this to protect the life and bring equilibrium between the society and the environment? How do you put an end to this? Basically, the environmental degradation that is happening. And you look at this question, discuss the ethical responsibility of the individuals, corporations, and governments in protecting the environment of future generation. So here also you need to divide your answer, just as Aditi was saying, that how do you put an end to this to protect life? So what you can do at individual level, what you can do when you are corporate, what governments can do, and you to integrate these keywords of environmental ethics when you are writing this answer, and you will write a great answer to this question. I think it is fair, अभी तक clear हो चुका होगा कि all these marks that we are saying 138, 136, 125, 128, they fluke नहीं है. ये बच्चों की बहुत मेहनत है. ठीक है, 12 टेस्टों को लिखना, रिवाइज करना, वो बता भी रहे थे कि कैसे उन्होंने आर्गुमेंट एग्जाम्पल की टेबल बना ली थी. इतनी मेहनत आपको करनी पड़ेगी, तब जाके वो जो 7 मिनट में सेक्शन ए लिखना है, 14 मिनट में केस स्टडी लिखनी है, तब जाके उतना डेप्थ वाला आंसर निकल के आता है. ठीक है, तो उतनी मेहनत लगती है, कोई फ्लूक नहीं है. Conceptual clarity, I think we have discussed this before. Now coming to the two important module, one important thing that we need to understand कि इस बार 2 अलग-अलग प्रोग्राम मैंने डिसाइड किए ना. लास्ट टाइम एक ही प्रीलिम्स और मेंस के बीच में एक ही एनरिचमेंट मॉड्यूल था, but this time I thought that I should bifurcate the two category of students. One category of student is that which have given multiple mains, which have got rank, which have given interview also. ठीक है, सो बेसिकली उनको एथिक्स आता है, मोटा मोटा पढ़ रखा है, बट कहीं ना कहीं एप्लीकेशंस में गैप है. एप्लीकेशंस उतना अच्छे से उनको अभी नहीं आता है, और आंसर राइटिंग में काफी काम करना है, केस स्टडीज पे काम करना है, और प्रैक्टिस की बहुत जरूरत है. तो इन स्टूडेंट्स के लिए एक सेपरेट प्रोग्राम आई डिसाइडेड. ऑन द अदर हैंड देयर वर स्टूडेंट्स like Nandana, I think we had open session with her also some time back, and if you listen to her, she was also saying that she prepared ethics comprehensively for the first time after prelims only. तो उन्होंने पूरा ethics ही prelims के बाद किया, and she scored 128 marks in ethics. तो इस बार उन बच्चों के लिए जो पहली बार सिलेबस करना चाहते हैं कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी के संग फ्रॉम बेसिक टू एडवांस लेवल, उनके लिए एक सेपरेट प्रोग्राम है. तो ये बस यही अंतर है दोनों प्रोग्राम में. मैं आपको दिखा देता हूँ. देखिए 5 फेज में, जैसे एथिक्स मार्क्स इंप्रूवमेंट प्रोग्राम है, इसमें फेज 1 में वी विल बी हैविंग कंटेंट बिल्डिंग. कंटेंट बिल्डिंग का मतलब इसमें सिलेबस कवर करवाया जाएगा फ्रॉम बेसिक टू एडवांस लेवल. एवरी वीक वी विल हैव 2 क्लासेस ओनली फॉर 1 मंथ. दैट इज फेज 1. In phase 2, we will master section A answer writing. Every day there will be 1 mini test, a similar mini test that I was showing you some time back. Every day 1 mini test will be there, followed by enrichment discussion. आपको 1 घंटा ईमानदारी से टेस्ट लिखना है और डिस्कशन सुनना है, ताकि आपको पता चले कि फ्रेमवर्क कैसे लगाने हैं, क्वेश्चंस को कैसे तोड़ना है, लेयर्स को कैसे आइडेंटिफाई करना है, जैसा अदिति भी आपको बता रही थी. एंड this is what we will be doing in both phase 2 and phase 3. In phase 3 it will be about case studies. In phase 2 it will be about section A answer writing. And in both phase 2 and phase 3 we will cover most important PYQ themes. आप सारी important इंपॉर्टेंट थीम्स पर आंसर राइटिंग कर चुके होंगे। मैंने आपको दिखाया कि कैसे ये सारे बच्चे भी पहले इन सारी थीम्स पे आंसर राइटिंग कर चुके थे और फिर इनको एक्चुअल में कैसे हेल्प हुई इन टर्म्स ऑफ मार्क्स। यू हैव सीन दैट। तो ये फेज 2 एंड फेज 3 में होगा, बट उसके पहले हम सिलेबस कवर करेंगे। ये जुलाई में होगा, तो बाय 26 जुलाई दिस विल बी वाइंड अप, है ना। एक महीना मेंस के पहले हम ये पूरा खत्म कर चुके होंगे। एंड आफ्टर दैट वी विल हैव 2 फुल लेंथ टेस्ट टू इवेल्युएट यू, है ना, कि एग्जाम लाइक कंडीशंस में हम कैसा लिख रहे हैं, और आप अपनी टेस्ट रेडीनेस, एग्जाम रेडीनेस को टेस्ट भी कर सकते हैं। आफ्टर दैट वी विल हैव 2 फुल लेंथ टेस्ट, एंड देन on 12th of August, that is just before the mains examination, we will have a mega revision session, ठीक है, जिसमें सारी इंपॉर्टेंट लर्निंग्स को इन एक फास्ट पेस रिवीजन सेशन में आई विल हेल्प यू टू रिवाइज, सो दैट जस्ट बिफोर मेंस, है ना, आप एक कंसोलिडेट नॉलेज के संग जाएं, आपको सारी चीजें आपके एक्टिव मेमोरी में सेव हो जाएं। तो वो प्रयास है। तो ये 5 फेज स्टेप्स हैं, आई वुड से कंपोनेंट्स हैं इस प्रोग्राम के। एंड अनदर इंपॉर्टेंट प्रोग्राम इज that I think these are timelines that as you can see in the first month, हर वीक में 2 क्लास है, तो 9 जुलाई तक वही चल रहा है। आफ्टर दैट इंटेंसिव आंसर राइटिंग, है ना, इंटेंसिव आंसर राइटिंग है। एज यू कैन सी फ्रॉम 14 to 19 एवरी डे यू आर राइटिंग टेस्ट, एवरी डे 1 घंटे का टेस्ट है, पीवाईक्यू इंक्लूडेड है, फिर डिस्कशन है। एंड इन केस स्टडी ऑल्सो 21 to 26 एवरी डे यू आर राइटिंग 1 hour ऑफ केस स्टडी फॉलोड बाय डिस्कशन, ठीक है। तो आप 26 जुलाई लगभग 1 महीना मेंस के पहले तक आप ये पूरा आंसर राइटिंग खत्म कर चुके होंगे। एंड देन वी हैव 2 फुल लेंथ टेस्ट, ओके, एंड देन द मेगा रिवीजन सेशन ऑन 12 अगस्त जो हम करने वाले हैं। सो ये उन बच्चों के लिए है जो अपना सिलेबस कवर करना चाहते हैं फ्रॉम बेसिक टू एडवांस लेवल। तो ये यही कोर्स था जो नंदना, जो पहली बार एथिक्स का जो तैयारी करी थी उन्होंने इसी में एनरोलमेंट लिया था। Yes, both all the programs will be offline or online, उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। अनदर इम्पोर्टेंट कैटेगरी ऑफ स्टूडेंट इज जो कई बार मेंस लिख चुके हैं, रैंक इंप्रूव कर रहे हैं, इंटरव्यू दे चुके हैं, तो उन बच्चों के लिए आंसर राइटिंग एनरिचमेंट प्रोग्राम है। बस एक ही डिफरेंस है इस फेज 1 में, ये 2, 3, 4, 5 सब सेम है। एक ही डिफरेंस है कि इसमें सिलेबस नहीं पढ़ाऊंगा, इसमें 5 क्लासेस होंगी जिसमें फास्ट पेस्ड वैल्यू एडिशन पे फोकस रहेगा, ठीक है। इन जो 5 क्लासेस हैं, they will be content booster classes. In those classes I will be talking about the syllabus interlinkages, current affair value additions, case studies, examples and important arguments, है ना। एक repository arguments की हम बनाएंगे ताकि आप आंसर राइटिंग में उसको अप्लाई कर सकें जो आगे का फेज आने वाला है। I will not be teaching syllabus here, okay, that is one important distinction, and that is the only difference that is there between these two program, ethics answer writing and ethics marks improvement, ठीक है। केवल फेज 1 का डिफरेंस है। अगर हम टाइमलाइन की बात करें तो ये प्रोग्राम आप देख सकते हैं कि 5 से 9 लगातार डेली एक क्लास है, कंटेंट बूस्टर 5 क्लासेस, एंड आफ्टर दैट वी हैव सेम थिंग, daily 1 hour of mini test in section A and 1 hour of mini test in case study। तो 24 जून को ये आंसर राइटिंग वाला कंपोनेंट खत्म हो जाएगा, that is 2 months before the mains examination, and after that we have full length test after 14 days, क्योंकि स्टूडेंट ने फीडबैक दिया था कि सर कोर्स खत्म हो जाता है 2 महीना पहले और फिर कंटिन्यूटी मिस हो जाती है। तो उन बच्चों उनको फीडबैक को मैंने इनकॉर्पोरेट किया और हर 2 वीक में एक टेस्ट है, आप देखेंगे हर 2 वीक में एक 12 जुलाई को फुल लेंथ टेस्ट है और एक 28 जुलाई को फुल लेंथ टेस्ट है, ताकि आप कंटिन्यूटी में रहें एथिक्स की में। और उसके बाद एक मेगा रिवीजन सेशन है, आई मीन फिर लगभग 2 वीक के बाद मैं आपसे मिलूंगा, तो मैं आपको छोड़ूंगा नहीं इस बार मेंस तक, हर 14 दिन में हम मिलते रहेंगे ताकि आपकी प्रिपरेशन ट्रैक पे रहे और एथिकल टर्मिनोलॉजी आपके दिमाग में याद होती रहे। और एंड देन आई एम श्योर यू विल स्मैश मेंस, है ना। तो ये this is all that we will be doing, and I think it is time for the question answer session. Aditi, please come, and now you can ask your doubts and queries, Aditi, and I will be answering that. Yes, please ask your queries. If there is any query, please do ask Aditi, and I will be happy to answer your queries. लैग है क्या थोड़ा? कोई डाउट नहीं है, सबको सब समझ में आ गया एक ही बार में? Time devoted to ethics after prelims. बहुत बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है, आप बताइए। और आई थिंक इसमें ये भी इनको बताइए कि प्रीलिम्स और मेंस के बीच में इन जनरल हाउ डिड यू एलोकेट टाइम्स, ऑप्शनल में, एसए में, अदर जीएस पेपर में, वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट, टाइम एलोकेशन बिकम इम्पोर्टेंट, तो बताइए थोड़ा।
सो आई थिंक फर्स्टली तो डिपेंड करता है आपका प्रायर प्रेपरेशन कितना किसमें है। तो मुझे ऑप्शनल में जीएस मेरा फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में ठीक ठाक था, ऑप्शनल में ज़्यादा इम्प्रूव करना था, तो आई मेड श्योर कि मैं डेली हाफ डे अपना ऑप्शनल को दे रही हूँ एंड द अदर हाफ डे वुड गो टू वन ऑफ द जीएस सब्जेक्ट्स। तो वो जीएस मैंने वीक वाइज डिवाइड कर दिया था, जैसे आवर क्लासेस वेंट ऑन फॉर 2 weeks, so 2 weeks I kept for ethics, then the next 2 weeks I kept for another GS paper, and I made sure that I'm taking out time for GS answer writing and optional answer writing daily. So there were 4 minimum things I did every day: optional revision, optional answer writing, GS revision and GS answer writing. तो जब अगर मैं GS 2 से रिवाइज कर रही हूँ तो मैंने GS 4 के आंसर्स लिख लिए, ताकि आपका एक रिदम में रहे, आप फिर भूल ना जाए, क्योंकि फिर आप सीधे 1 महीने बाद अगर GS 4 उठाएंगे तो बहुत मुश्किल होगा। सो दैट आई केप्ट गोइंग लाइक दैट इन अ साइकिल कि आप 2 GS फिर मेरा साथ चल रहा है, एक का आंसर राइटिंग, एक का रिविजन, और ऑप्शनल तो चल ही रहा है।
If I take a day between prelims and mains, what will your average day look like? Can you just tell?
So one thing I did this time was to make sure that I don't miss on answer writing. मैंने रोज का अपना टाइम फिक्स कर लिया था कि 12 से 2 दिन में मैं ऑप्शनल के करूंगी, तो वट एवर आई हैव रिवाइज्ड बिफोर 12, सो आई यूज्ड टू गेट अप अराउंड 7-8 इन द मॉर्निंग। फर्स्ट हाफ ऑफ द डे वुड बी फॉर ऑप्शनल रिविजन, फिर वो 12 से 2 होते ही आई विल लीव एवरीथिंग एंड राइट माई आंसर्स। फिर उसके बाद ब्रेक लिया, सेकेंड हाफ ऑफ द डे वाज फॉर जीएस, और मैं जीएस के आंसर्स डिनर के बाद लिखती थी। तो 10 से 12 मेरे जीएस की आंसर राइटिंग हो गई।
तो एवरी डे यू आर राइटिंग 1 hour ऑफ ऑप्शनल आल्सो एंड
and 1 hour of GS also. So this time I focused more on answer writing and कंटेंट मैंने मिनिमम ही रखा, एंड आई ट्राई टू मेक श्योर कि जितना कंटेंट पढ़ा है ऑलरेडी है नोट्स में उसे रिवाइज करूं और कितना मैं आंसर्स में ला पा रही हूँ। एंड बिकॉज आई रोट आंसर्स देन आई सेल्फ रिव्यूड देम, तो आप एक ही आंसर को जब बार बार पढ़ते हो तो फिर आपको रियलाइज होता है अच्छा ये पॉइंट भी लिख सकती थी, वो पॉइंट भी। तो आई थिंक इट्स easier to reproduce your notes in the exam, because by the end that's the point of mains exam.
ये आई थिंक 2 चीजें हैं जो हम सीख सकते हैं इनसे। और मुझे एक तो सबसे खास बात इनकी लगी, जिन्होंने बोला कि 12 बजते ही मैं सब कुछ छोड़ के टेस्ट पेपर लिखने बैठ जाती थी, है ना। और रात का एक टाइम था जिसमें जीएस का आंसर राइटिंग 10 बजे से 11 जो आप बोल रहे थे। आई थिंक देखिए डिसिप्लिन ना इसी को बोलते हैं। हम सोच लेते हैं कि वी विल डू दिस, वी विल डू दिस, वी विल डू दिस, बट वन ऑफ द important, I would say, way to do it, that we allocate a fixed time to that and we stick to that no matter what happens, and that's how you get things done. Otherwise you will be doing so many things here and there, and then it will be shifting only. But as she is saying, most of the time she fixated basically, this time I will give for optional answer writing, this time I will give for GS answer writing. Every day she was writing. Another important thing that we can learn, मेंस इज मोर अबाउट एप्लीकेशन। ठीक है, आप इतना कुछ पढ़ लेंगे और अप्लाई कुछ नहीं कर पाएंगे एक्चुअल पेपर में, बड़ा डिफिकल्ट है। आई ऑलवेज टेल माय स्टूडेंट्स दैट यू examine your level of preparation not by the kind of notes you are having, but by the kind of answers you are writing. Ultimately your answers reflect what you truly know and how you will be writing the mains examination, not your notes. Notes तो कहीं से मिल जाते हैं ना, 100 रुपए में notes मिल जाते हैं। Notes are not the metric. So always focus on answer writing, and especially how much of the notes, how much of the content you are able to write in the actual paper, actual answer. So बहुत important learning है। What is the way to analyze PYQ? PYQs, whenever you go through the PYQs, try to look at the themes, that that how you can categorize the PYQ as per themes and then link them with syllabus, and across how many topics you can link. Because when you look at a particular question, don't restrict yourself to one syllabus topic, that this is this only. Try to multiply the dimension, that I can quote this dimension also, this dimension also, this dimension. That's how you make your answers multi-dimensional. Okay, so that's how you analyze PYQ, and do that on a regular basis, daily basis. ऐसा नहीं एक दिन पढ़ लिया और हो गया। Daily PYQs को देखिए, तब थोड़े दिन बाद PYQ आपसे बोलने लगेंगे, ठीक है, आपको मोहब्बत हो जाएगी उनको आपसे, मैं बता रहा हूँ, और तब जाके आपको थीम्स रिपीटेशन दिखने लगेंगे। अभी नहीं दिखेगा, एक बार देखेंगे नहीं दिखेगा, डेली देखिए, डेली देखिए। शुभम पूछ रहे हैं हाउ टू राइट आंसर्स एंड कोटेशन बेस्ड क्वेश्चन, पॉइंट और पैराग्राफ।
Sir, definitely points. Matlab paragraph mein it's very easy to get lost if you're writing an answer, and if you're writing point wise, then you can generate so many dimensions, and the answer also looks more structured. So my goal was ki firstly identify the theme, then write as many arguments as possible with examples. So
I think similar advice I gave to Adish Srivastava also, who got rank 1 last year. He was also earlier writing in paragraph only, even quotation based question. Because see, when you write a paragraph based format, you often repeat yourself. आप ना वो ब्रेक नहीं ले पाते हो कि मुझे अगली डायमेंशंस में अब जाना है, आप सेम चीज को ना बार बार रिपीट करते रहते हो, और फिर वो पेज खत्म हो जाता है, टाइम खत्म हो जाता है, डायमेंशन निकल के नहीं आती, गिनती के 2 या 3 पॉइंट निकल के आते हैं। तो इसीलिए इट इज ऑलवेज बेटर टू राइट इन पॉइंट फॉर्मेट सो दैट यू कैन convey your point and move on to next dimension. Depth and dimensions are very very important when you are writing your answers. And again she said arguments. ठीक है, arguments सोचते थे, फिर example लिखते थे। Shobit asking, I have made notes of ethics, how to connect PYQs and notes with answer writing. How to connect notes and answer writing?
So I think firstly, PYQ should be an important part of note making in the first place.
Yes.
So even like for example, I made my notes along with sir's classes. So if a particular topic is done, and he divides his lectures also topic wise and theme wise based on the syllabus. So I would go through the PYQs then and there after the class to see how much I'm able to get, and mostly it would be covered, and then the approach was just brainstorming on PYQs and seeing how much of my notes can I apply to the PYQs.
देखिए PYQs ना आपके लिए आई वुड से, जैसे यूपीएससी ने एथिक्स का सिलेबस दे दिया, अब सिलेबस के अंदर के डायमेंशंस, हिडन डायमेंशंस क्या हैं वो आपको दिखते हैं PYQ में। तो PYQs पहले देखिए ना, वो कविता भी तो है, बाट चलने के बटोही राह की पहचान कर ले, राह चलने के बटोही बाट की पहचान कर ले। जिस रास्ते पे आप चलने वाले हैं पहले देखिए वो कैसा है। PYQ वो रास्ता दिखाते हैं कि वो वैसा है, इस तरह के क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, तो अपना माइंडसेट भी ऐसे प्रिपेयर करके रखिए। PYQs helps to be very very important. I think what interesting question is, Sparshka, does every point require example? And how many examples you wrote in around one answer?
I think so in most of the questions I try to write one example per argument, because I think we need to balance both points and examples. They're both very important. So if say there's a basic question and I have to divide that answer in 2 parts, then I made sure that I'm writing 4 to 5 arguments per part and examples in each argument, and that's how I'd brainstormed also, so it came more automatically in the exam. And there are some questions where it's difficult to write an answer in every point, so then you don't have instead of just thinking and wasting time in the exam, go ahead in the next point, but try to write answer in most points. That makes it
examples
more
and more points.
qualitative. Yeah,
I think one question that you missed was that were you mains ready before prelims?
Sir, not at all. I think I was one of those people कि first attempt में prelims clear हो गया, तो mains की ज़्यादा तैयारी नहीं थी, and then I managed 3 months में mains, and main score were 766 in my first attempt, and ethics also I scored 116 I think in my first attempt, and that was mostly because of the notes and answer writing practice I did between prelims to mains. And this year also after mains interview and then again prelims, so I got those 3 months prelims to mains again. So I think if you put in a lot of hard work between prelims to mains, have a balanced day, focus on content enrichment and answer writing, it is manageable.
I think this is what Nandana also said, that she also prepared ethics primarily after prelims only. So it is not that if you are not prepared before prelims that you are out of the race, nothing like that. You just need to put in more hard work, okay? And it is very much manageable. She got 128 marks, she got 125 marks. Earlier also she got 116 marks when she was part of the module. This year also she got 125 marks. So the point is, between prelims and mains you can do that, provided you manage your time well and work really really hard. ठीक है, तो उस पे थोड़ा सा आप प्लीज काम करिए. How many points on an average you wrote for a 10 marker? Number of points.
So I think here ethics is different from GS papers, because in GS I tried to write anywhere between 10 to 15 points at least in a 10 marker, because I think the more points you generate in GS, it's better. But in ethics, it's the quality that matters more. So I didn't focus so much कि maximum points लिखना है. I tried to write the correct arguments, and I think anywhere between 8 to 10 arguments per paper, something I wrote.
So arguments and the quality of argument is more important in ethics paper. I think that is what we can learn from her. Okay. Any other question? Any other question? Any other question? Kindly ask. Okay, then I think how to connect? I think online or offline? You are online or offline? I mean, are you in Delhi or? Answer writing enrichment you can do. Okay, then I think we learn a great deal from the insights with Aditi here, and we learned that how she prepared ethics, specifically focusing on the quality of arguments, and how she prepared things beforehand when she was writing the Telegram, via Telegram. Yes, you can connect with me via Telegram also. Yes. So as per, I think ये last question हम ले लेते हैं. How to evaluate and improve one's quality in answer writing from ma'am experience. बताइए मैम ये answers.
I think here mentorship plays a role, because we will write only to
What you think you are right.
what we think, and लिखते समय तो लगता है कि कितना अच्छा लिखा है. फिर वो over a period of time improve होता है. मतलब सर के साथ भी I remember you reviewed my answers, so then I was like okay, I'm maybe writing correctly.
अरे रिव्यू से एक स्टोरी याद आ गई है, मैं बताता हूँ. मैं भूल चुका था उनको बताना. तो एक स्टोरी है थी छोटी सी. तो इनका ना, आई थिंक आई वाज रिव्यूइंग सम ऐसे, आई थिंक यस, और मेंस के कुछ दिन पहले की बात थी. 10-15 दिन, 10 days बिफोर मेंस. और जब मैं बात कर रहा था इनसे तो मैंने डांट दिया थोड़ा इनको. मुझे भी लगा डांटने के बाद ज्यादा बोल दिया, बट अब डांट दिया तो डांट दिया कि ये कैसे लिख रहे हो एंड एवरीथिंग. तो आई थिंक उस दिन तो कुछ नहीं हुआ. एंड नेक्स्ट डे व्हेन आई वोक अप, I had her message in the WhatsApp, and I think वो मैं शेयर, मैं उसको पढ़ के बताता हूँ कैसा था वो. उसमें ऐसा था कि she had expressed her displeasure. उनका था कि 10 days before the mains, and that is very harsh comment, and confidence काफी इनका डाउन हो गया था. एंड जब वो मैसेज मैंने पढ़ा ना तो मुझे बहुत बुरा लगा. आई एम टेलिंग यू फॉर माई सेल्फ. ठीक है, नॉट बिकॉज ऑफ व्हाट आई हैड सेड व्हाट आई बिलीव कि आपके आंसर में ये कमी है, इम्प्रूव कर लो. बट आई थॉट कि वो भजन हम बचपन से सुनते आ रहे हैं ना कि भला किसी का ना करो तो बुरा किसी का मत करना. आई थॉट कि यार इतना डांटने से अगर इनका पेपर खराब हो गया तो मैं तो खुद को माफ नहीं करूंगा. ठीक है, मैं इतना परेशान हो गया इनका वो मैसेज देख के. शी रोट वेरी स्ट्रांगली, थोड़ा परेशान थी ये. And I think I immediately called you after that, और 20-25 मिनट इनसे बात करी. और I think after that also every 2-3 days I was texting her कि बहन से तैयारी कैसी चल रही है बता दो. ठीक है, because I was so worried कि ऐसा ना हो कि इसकी वजह से इनका मेंस खराब हो जाए. एंड मैं एक और बताता हूँ, जब उनका रिजल्ट आया तो टॉप 10 का रिजल्ट जब दिख जाता है पीडीएफ में, इनका नाम पहला नाम था जो मैंने कंट्रोल ऐप से सर्च किया था कि इनका हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ है, बिकॉज मैं इनका रिजल्ट ऐसा चाहता था कि हो जाएगा, मेरी वजह से एटलीस्ट कुछ ना हुआ हो कि मेंस गड़बड़ हो गया. And fortunately, everything fall in place. और 97 रैंक है. I think she'll be joining foreign service most likely. So बहुत रिलीव हुआ. तो ऐसा ही है, इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस टीचर को भी रखना चाहिए, हर चीज ऐसे नहीं बोल देनी चाहिए. तो काफी सीखने को मिला. वो एक्सपीरियंस मेरे लिए बहुत हम्बलिंग और लर्निंग एक्सपीरियंस था कि ऐसे नहीं बोल देना है. और बट शी वाज काइंड एनफ टू नो अंडरस्टैंड ऑल दैट मैसेज कि हाँ बोल गए सर. तो ऐसा था. तो काफी लर्निंग था वो मेरे लिए अदिति. तो मेंटरशिप से कम मिस्टेक्स तो पता पड़ती हैं. तो ऐसा होता है. Yes, definitely I will try to have that. Jadis, definitely I will try to have that. Okay, then I think it is time we wrap up this session, and I hope all these lessons will help you in avoiding important mistakes and that many aspirants do. Please don't commit them. Learn from the experience and implement them in your own answer writing. And we wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.
And all of you who are writing mains, बहुत मेहनत करिए. प्रीलिम्स देख ही लो कितना डाइसी हो रहा है. तो जान लगा के मेंस के लिए मेहनत करिए और मेंस में काफी अच्छा स्कोर लेके आइए. ऑल द बेस्ट माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स. बाय बाय. टेक केयर.